In the Naruto universe, Sage Mode is described as one of the most powerful transformations a shinobi can achieve. Enhanced strength, planet-wide sensory perception, the ability to wield nature's energy as a weapon, but beneath the orange eyes and superhuman reflexes lies a biological exploit so dangerous that a single mistake turns you into a permanent stone statue. The toads don't tell you about the graveyard, the snakes don't mention the failure rate, and the slugs, they don't advertise that your body was never designed to process the very energy they're teaching you to absorb. Today, we're decoding the true mechanics of Sage Mode, not as a mystical power-up, but as a biological hijacking of your chakra network. We'll explore why you must remain absolutely still to gather nature energy, why the petrification process mirrors a real-world genetic disorder, and why each sage region transforms you into a specific animal. This is Shinobi Anatomy. This is Sage Mode, and this is the truth they don't teach you before you sit down on that stone platform and close your eyes. We know that chakra is a mixture of physical and spiritual energy, molded through the Otsutsuki chakra network inherited from Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the Sage of Six Paths. Sage Mode adds a third component, nature energy, an external foreign substance that the human body was never designed to process. And that's the exploit. Through our research, we've identified 3 core principles that govern Sage Mode and explain why it kills you if you lose control. Ninjas cannot control external energies. They can only absorb them passively. The Otsutsuki chakra network allows internal molding, physical and spiritual energy, but it has no interface for foreign substances. When you gather nature energy, you aren't pulling it in with your mind. You're letting it in. And you can't stop it once the flow begins. Nature energy has species-specific frequencies. Toad, snake, slug. Each sage region concentrates a different signature of nature energy. When you absorb it, you absorb the frequency template of the animal that evolved to channel it. Perfect balance, you harness their power. Imbalance, your body tries to become them. Petrification is a runaway ossification cascade. Similar to a real-world genetic disorder called fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, where muscle tissue turns into bone, Sage Mode petrification is an uncontrolled biological rewrite. Soft tissue hardens. Animal features emerge. And when the transformation completes, you become an inorganic stone monument. There is no antidote. There is no reversal. There is only balance. Let's begin the breakdown. The Otsutsuki chakra network allows ninjas to mold their internal energies, physical and spiritual, into jutsu. You think it, you shape it, you release it. Complete, conscious control. But this system has a critical limitation. You cannot reach out mentally and grab external energies. Watch what happens when a ninja tries to actively pull nature energy toward them. The energy doesn't respond. It drifts. It ignores mental commands. Because the chakra network Hagoromo gave humanity was designed for internal molding, not external manipulation. When a ninja absorbs chakra through techniques like Pretapath or chakra absorption seals, they aren't actively pulling it in. They're reversing their natural chakra flow and letting the foreign energy passively enter their system. Think of it like breathing. You don't mentally grab individual oxygen molecules and force them into your lungs. You open your airways and let atmospheric pressure do the work. Nature energy works the same way. You cannot control it, you cannot shape it, you cannot command it. You can only let it in. And once you open that valve, you'd better know how to close it, because nature energy doesn't stop flowing just because you've had enough. Canon states that to gather nature energy, a person must remain absolutely still. Even the slightest movement disrupts the acquisition. But why? Nature energy moves slowly through the air and ground, circulating throughout the world like a low-frequency wave. It's everywhere, in the soil, in the atmosphere, in living organisms, a planetary energy grid in constant, gentle motion. When you remain still, that energy can settle into your body at a controlled rate. Your chakra network reverses flow, your tenketsu open, and the nature energy drifts in like sediment, sinking to the bottom of a still pond. But when you move, especially at shinobi speeds, you create turbulence. Just like when you run through the air moves around you rather than into you. You displace it. You create a pressure wave. The molecules can't settle on your skin. They're being constantly pushed aside by your momentum. Nature energy behaves the same way. Movement causes it to flow around your body instead of into it. The faster you move, the stronger the turbulence, the more energy deflects away. This is why shadow clones work. Naruto discovered the ultimate workaround. The clones remain perfectly still while the original fights. The clones act as stationary receivers for nature energy, gathering it continuously without interruption. Then, when they disperse, the energy transfers back instantly through the memory sharing mechanism. The original Naruto never has to stop moving. The clones never have to fight. Perfect division of labor. Stillness requirement? Bypassed. But most shinobi don't have infinite chakra reserves to spam shadow clones. Most shinobi have to do it the hard way. They have to sit, they have to breathe, they have to not move. And that's harder than it sounds. But stillness isn't just about stopping movement. It's about achieving a level of control most humans never reach. Even when you sleep, your body moves. Your eyes dart beneath closed lids, tracking dreams. Your chest rises and falls with each breath, 2 to 3 inches of motion, 12 to 20 times per minute. Your muscles twitch. Your heart beats. Your body unconsciously shifts weight every 30 to 60 seconds to prevent pressure sores. True stillness? That's neurologically abnormal. To gather nature energy, you must breathe without moving your chest, controlling your diaphragm with surgical precision. Every breath must be internal. The ribs don't expand. The shoulders don't rise. All respiratory motion happens beneath the surface, invisible to external observation. This requires the same mental focus as forcing yourself not to blink during a staring contest, not to flinch when something moves in your peripheral vision, not to shift your weight by even a millimeter. For 5 minutes straight, think about that. Right now, wherever you are, try to remain completely motionless for 60 seconds. Don't adjust your posture. Don't scratch that itch. Don't blink more than necessary. Just stop. Most people fail within 30 seconds. Sage mode requires 300. And you have to do it while foreign energy floods your system, while your body screams at you to move, while every survival instinct tells you something is wrong. That level of discipline is why Sage mode is rare. Most shinobi don't have the patience. They twitch, they shift, they breathe too hard, and the nature energy imbalance tips. And the ones who lack it? They become stone. The graveyard at Mount Myoboku isn't a monument to failure. It's a monument to the fraction of a second when discipline broke, when the body moved, when the turbulence disrupted the flow, when the balance tipped, and nature energy doesn't forgive. It fossilizes. Archive OS has completed decryption. All Shinobi systems now accessible. Shinobi Anatomy Volume 1 is officially live. Chakra theory, reincarnation protocols, Fourth War anomalies, all compiled, all verified. Enter the archive. Link in the description. Senjutsu chakra is not just chakra plus nature energy. It's a perfect one-to-one-to-one balance of physical energy, spiritual energy, and nature energy. Think of it like a chemical equation. You don't just dump in extra ingredients and hope for the best. The ratio must be exact. 100 units of physical energy, 100 units of spiritual energy, 100 units of nature energy, not 99, not 101, exactly 100. If the ratio tips even slightly toward nature energy, the body begins to destabilize. Too little nature energy? The technique fails. The energies refuse to merge. You wasted 5 minutes sitting perfectly still for nothing, annoying but harmless. Too much nature energy? You undergo irreversible petrification. Your body tries to integrate the excess foreign substance, realizes it can't, and defaults to the transformation protocol. Skin hardens. Animal features emerge. Stone spreads. There is no middle ground. There is no close enough. This is why Sage Mode is described as dangerous. You're not just adding power, you're walking a tightrope between enhancement and biological corruption. Fall to the left, you fail the technique. Fall to the right, you become a monument. And the wire you're walking on? It's 1 unit wide. Canon confirms Sage Mode lasts approximately 5 minutes before the nature energy is depleted. But why? The answer is simple. Nature energy is consumed while in Sage Mode. It's not a permanent transformation. It's not a switch you flip on and leave running. It's a finite resource that the body metabolizes during combat. Every technique you perform, every Rasengan, every superhuman leap, every sensory pulse, burns through the nature energy reserve. Physical enhancement? That's nature energy amplifying your muscle contractions. Consumed. Jutsu amplification. That's nature energy supercharging your chakra output. Consumed. Sensory perception? That's nature energy maintaining your connection to the planetary grid. Consumed. Think of it like a car. You fill the tank with gasoline, you drive, and the fuel burns away. When the tank hits empty, the engine stops. You don't get to keep driving just because you filled up once. Sage Mode works the same way. You fill your tank with nature energy during the 5-minute meditation, you fight, the energy metabolizes, when the reserve hits 0, Sage Mode deactivates. The timer isn't arbitrary. It's not a narrative convenience. It's the biological limit of how much foreign energy your body can process before needing to resupply. 5 minutes of enhancement. 5 minutes of walking the tightrope. 5 minutes before you're back to normal chakra levels and the enemy realizes you're no longer untouchable. And if you want to go back into Sage Mode, you sit down, you become perfectly still, and you spend another 5 minutes gathering nature energy. Unless you have a workaround. So, Sage Mode lasts 5 minutes. Then you need to resupply. But the resupply process requires 5 minutes of perfect stillness, and in the middle of a fight, that's a death sentence. Unless you have a workaround, there are 3 known methods to resupply nature energy mid-battle, and each one bypasses the stillness requirement through different biological or tactical exploits. Method 1, Shadow Clone Reserve. Naruto's solution. Create shadow clones. Station them at a distance. Rooftop, forest clearing, anywhere safe. The clones sit down, become perfectly still, and gather nature energy while the original Naruto fights. When the original Sage Mode timer runs low, one clone disperses. The memory transfer mechanism that normally shares combat experience, it also transfers the gathered nature energy. Instant resupply. The original Naruto never has to stop fighting. The clones never have to engage in combat. Perfect division of labor. The limitation? You need massive chakra reserves to spam shadow clones. Naruto has the Uzumaki bloodline advantage, insane stamina and chakra capacity. Most shinobi don't. Most shinobi get 1, maybe 2 clones before they're tapped out. Method 2. External gatherers. Jiraiya's solution. He summons Fukasaku and Shima, the 2 great toad sages, and they sit on his shoulders like living chakra batteries. Jiraiya himself cannot achieve perfect Sage Mode because he can't remain completely still during combat. That's why he has the toad features. His transformation is imperfect. But Fukasaku and Shima, they're small, stationary, and they never stop gathering. The toads act as external organs, continuously absorbing nature energy and transferring it directly to Jiraiya through physical contact. As long as they're on his shoulders, his Sage Mode doesn't deactivate. It's not perfect balance, it hovers around 70 to 80% efficiency, but it's sustained. The limitation? You need a summoning contract with beings capable of gathering nature energy. You need to trust them with your life, and you need to sustain the chakra cost of keeping them summoned. Method 3, Biological Automation. Hashirama's solution. He doesn't meditate, he doesn't use shadow clones, he doesn't summon external gatherers, he just activates Sage Mode. Instantly. Less than 1 second. How? The theory. Wood release functions as biological roots. Trees don't need to consciously absorb nutrients. Their root systems pull water and minerals from the soil automatically, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. No effort, no thought, just passive absorption. Hashirama's wood-release cells may function the same way, acting like microscopic roots that continuously pull trace amounts of nature energy from the environment. Not enough to trigger Sage Mode on their own, but enough to maintain a low-level reserve. Maybe 10–20%. When Hashirama wants to activate Sage Mode, he doesn't need to meditate and gather from zero. He just consciously adds physical and spiritual energy to match the nature energy already in his system. Instant balance, instant activation. Add in the fact that he's Asura's reincarnation, inheritor of Hagoromo's body and life force, and he may carry a higher expression of the original nature energy code that most humans lost over generations. The limitation? You need to be Hashirama Senju. Unique genetics, wood release, Kekkei, Genkai, Asura's bloodline. Not exactly replicable. Each method bypasses the stillness requirement. Each has different costs, and each proves the same thing. Sage Mode wasn't designed for humans. It's a biological exploit we forced to work through sheer discipline, genetic lottery, or tactical ingenuity. And the more you study it, the more you realize we weren't supposed to survive this. Before we go deeper into Sage Mode's petrification mechanics, we need to talk about a real-world genetic disorder. In the real world, there exists a condition called fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, FOP for short. It's one of the rarest and most horrifying genetic disorders known to medicine. Prevalence, 1 in 2 million people. Patients with FOP have a mutation in the ACVR1 gene, a gene that regulates bone growth. In healthy humans, this gene tells osteoblasts, bone-building cells, when to activate during normal skeletal development and injury repair. But in FOP patients, the mutation causes the gene to misinterpret signals. Any injury, any inflammation, any minor trauma, the ACVR1 gene reads it as build bone here. So, the body does. Muscle tissue begins to calcify, tendons harden, ligaments turn into stone, and once the process starts, it doesn't stop. The newly formed bone triggers inflammation in surrounding tissue, which the ACVR1 gene interprets as another command to build bone. Positive feedback loop. Runaway cascade. There is no off switch, no cure, no way to halt the ossification. The body just keeps building bone until the patient can barely move. Joints fuse, limbs lock, breathing becomes difficult as the ribcage rigidifies. FOP patients don't die from the bone itself. They die from immobility, from respiratory failure when the chest can no longer expand, or from complications when they can't move to prevent bed sores or infections. The body becomes a prison, and the prison is made of your own skeleton. Now, Sage Mode petrification operates on the exact same principle. Uncontrolled ossification triggered by a foreign substance the body cannot regulate. In FOP, it's a genetic mutation misinterpreting repair signals. In Sage Mode, it's nature energy imbalance triggering a transformation protocol the human body was never designed to handle. Same biological exploit, different trigger. And just like FOP, once the cascade begins, you can't stop it. When nature energy exceeds the 1-to-1-to-1 balance, the petrification cascade begins. And it happens in 4 stages. Stage 1, morphological shift. The animal features emerge. If you absorb toad frequency nature energy, toad warts push through your skin. Your pupils elongate horizontally. Your fingers start to web. If you absorb snake frequency, scales form. Pupils become vertical slits. Your jaw begins to unhinge. You're still conscious, you're still aware, and you realize you cannot stop this. Your body is no longer trying to stay human. It's trying to match the frequency template encoded in the nature energy. Your skeletal structure begins to rewrite. Bones shorten, lengthen, reshape. Your spine curves. Your limbs adjust to animal proportions. Your face, your identity, starts to disappear. 70% human, 50%, 30%. You try to speak. Your mouth won't form the words anymore. Your vocal cords restructure. Human speech becomes croaking, hissing, silence. This isn't enhancement. This is molecular rewriting. Your DNA is being overwritten, line by line, cell by cell, until the blueprint for human is gone. Stage 2. Initial hardening. The excess nature energy floods the chakra network with a foreign frequency signature your body doesn't recognize. The system tries to integrate it, realizes it can't, and defaults to the only protocol it has, transformation. Your skin begins to darken. Melanin production spikes. The epidermis, the outer layer of skin, starts to calcify. Collagen density increases by 300%. Your tissue feels like leather, then wood, then stone. Stage 3. Positive feedback loop. Here's where it becomes irreversible. The transformation process accelerates, because the more you transform, the more your body's natural chakra flow destabilizes, and the more it destabilizes, the more nature energy floods in unchecked. Positive feedback loop, runaway cascade. The transformation that took 30 seconds in stage 2 now completes in 10, then 5, then instantaneous. You had a window, maybe 90 seconds, from the first wart to this moment, where theoretically, external intervention could have stopped it. But now, the loop has critical mass. The body's executing the transformation protocol at exponential speed. And there's one final moment, a flicker of awareness, where the human mind recognizes what's happening. Then consciousness fades. The animal frequency overwrites the last neural patterns. You're gone. Stage 4. Complete petrification. The body is now fully transformed into the animal shape, toad, snake, slug, still organic, still flesh and blood, for about 5 seconds. Then the calcification begins, starting from the extremities. Fingers and toes harden, drain of color, convert from organic tissue to inorganic stone. The process spreads inward. Limbs, torso, head. Your cells are being replaced at the atomic level. Carbon-based life becomes silicon-based mineral. Soft tissue becomes dense, lifeless matter. The final stage, your eyes. They crystallize. The light goes out, and you are no longer a living being. You are a statue. Canon confirms. Once petrification completes, it cannot be reversed. There is no jutsu, no medical ninjutsu, no ritual that can restore you. You are geologically stone, inorganic, dead, and you will remain that way for centuries, a monument to the moment you lost control of the balance. This is what happens when nature energy exceeds the ratio by even 10%. This is the cost of the exploit. There are 3 known sage regions in the Naruto world. Mount Myoboku, home of the toads, a mountainous region shrouded in mist where nature energy rises from the earth in thick, turbulent currents. Ryuchi Cave, home of the snakes, an underground labyrinth where nature energy pools like liquid, flowing through narrow passages and settling in the depths. Shikotsu Forest, home of the slugs, a primordial woodland where nature energy pulses slowly through ancient trees, stored and released in rhythmic cycles. Canon confirms these are naturally occurring abundances of nature, energy, geological or spiritual anomalies where nature energy concentrates far beyond normal environmental levels. Think of them like natural uranium deposits, or geothermal hotspots. The planet has areas where specific resources accumulate. These 3 regions are where nature energy, for whatever reason, gathers. But here's the key. Each region has a different frequency signature. Mount Myoboku's energy rises. Ryuchi Cave's energy sinks. Shikotsu Forest's energy pulses. Same substance, nature energy, but different behavioral patterns. And over millions of years, the animals living in these regions evolved to channel their specific frequency. The toads didn't choose to live at Mount Myoboku. They became toads because they lived at Mount Myoboku. The environment shaped their biology, the frequency signature shaped their evolution, same with the snakes, same with the slugs. 3 regions, 3 frequencies, 3 evolutionary paths, and when a human trains at one of these locations, they absorb that animal's frequency signature. In the real world, different animals sense different frequencies. Dogs hear ultrasound, frequencies above 20,000 Hz that are completely inaudible to humans. You blow a dog whistle, the dog hears it perfectly. You? Silence. Snakes sense infrared radiation. Their pit organs detect heat signatures in total darkness. They're seeing wavelengths of light that human eyes can't process. We need thermal cameras to do what they do naturally. Birds navigate using Earth's magnetic field. They can literally see the invisible lines of magnetic force stretching from pole to pole. Humans, we need compasses, different species, different sensory frequencies. Same planet, nature energy operates the same way. It's not a single uniform substance flowing through the world. It's a spectrum of frequencies, just like light, just like sound, just like electromagnetic radiation. The toads at Mount Myoboku evolved over millennia to channel toad frequency nature energy, a specific wavelength, a specific behavioral pattern. Their cells are tuned to that frequency. Their chakra networks resonate with it. It's their native language. The snakes at Ryuchi Cave evolved to channel snake frequency, different wavelength, different resonance, different cellular structure. The slugs at Shikotsu Forest, slug frequency. And here's the critical point. These aren't conscious choices. This is evolutionary adaptation. The animals didn't decide to match the frequency of their environment. The environment shaped them over millions of years until their biology could channel the energy naturally. No training required. No petrification risk. They're running the correct firmware for their region's energy signature. But when a human trains at one of these regions, you're installing firmware your hardware was never designed to run. You sit at Mount Myoboku and absorb toad frequency nature energy. Your body tries to integrate it, and because you don't have millions of years of evolutionary preparation, your biology defaults to mimicry. Your cells try to become toad cells, your DNA tries to rewrite itself to match the frequency template. Perfect balance? You harness the power without full transformation. Imbalance? Your body completes the transformation and then fossilizes it in stone. And here's the smoking gun. When Nagato's Pretapath absorbed Naruto's Senjutsu chakra during their fight, it didn't just turn into stone. It turned into a toad statue. Not a generic petrified corpse, not a vaguely animalistic form, a toad, specifically, with toad warts, toad eyes, toad mouth, toad anatomy. Why? Because Naruto trained at Mount Myoboku, his sage chakra was tuned to the toad frequency. The nature energy component of his Senjutsu carried that frequency signature like a barcode. When the Pretapath absorbed it, the nature energy flooded its system. The Pretapath had no physical or spiritual energy reserves to balance it. It's a reanimated corpse controlled remotely by Nagato's chakra, just a puppet. So, the nature energy imbalance was immediate and catastrophic. The petrification cascade triggered, and the body, trying to integrate the foreign energy, analyzed the frequency signature and defaulted to the source template. Toad frequency, nature, energy equals toad petrification. If Naruto had trained at Ryuchi Cave and absorbed snake frequency nature energy, the Pretapath would have turned into a snake statue. Scales, vertical pupils, serpentine body. If he trained at Shikotsu Forest, slug statue. The body is literally trying to match the animal whose energy signature it absorbed. This isn't metaphorical. This isn't symbolic. This is the biological system reading the frequency code and executing the transformation protocol based on the template encoded in the nature energy. And that confirms it. Nature energy isn't uniform. It's frequency specific. And when you absorb it, you're absorbing the evolutionary blueprint of the animal that evolved to channel it. Perfect balance? You borrow their power. Imbalance? You become them, permanently. Before we move to the benefits of Sage Mode, we need to address something that's been lurking in the background of this entire analysis. Kakuzu's Earth Release, Earth Spear. This technique flows Earth-natured chakra through the user's body, causing the skin to darken and harden to diamond-level durability. Kakuzu can tank kunai strikes, shrug off explosions, and punch through solid rock without a scratch. And here's what makes it relevant to our discussion. Earth Spear looks mechanically identical to Stage 2 of Sage Mode Petrification. Watch the activation. Skin darkens, gray to black. Tissue hardens, soft flesh becomes stone-like. Durability increases, body becomes nearly indestructible. Now compare that to the first stage of petrification when nature energy imbalances. Skin darkens, tissue hardens. Color shifts from natural to gray. Visually, identical. So, what's the difference? Why does Kakuzu activate Earth Spear, fight for hours, then deactivate it and return to normal, while a failed Sage candidate undergoes the same visual transformation and becomes a permanent stone statue? The answer comes down to one word: control. The difference is control. Earth Spear uses internal chakra that the user consciously molds and flows through their body. You form the hand seal. You generate Earth Nature chakra. You direct it through your chakra network to your skin. You maintain the flow. And when you're done, you stop the flow. The chakra dissipates. Your skin returns to normal. Complete conscious control from activation to deactivation. It's reversible. It's sustainable. It's controlled enhancement. Sage mode petrification uses external nature energy that's passively absorbed from the environment. You don't mold it, you don't shape it, you don't direct it, you let it in. And once it enters your system, your body tries to integrate it automatically without any conscious input from you. When the balance tips, the transformation protocol activates. Your body executes it autonomously. You can't stop it through willpower. You can't reverse it through chakra control. You don't have conscious access to the process. It's irreversible. It's uncontrollable. It's uncontrolled corruption. And here's the fundamental principle that governs both. Ninjas can only control internal energies, the physical and spiritual energy they mold into chakra through the Otsutsuki chakra network. But ninjas cannot control external energies, nature energy, absorbed chakra, any foreign substance entering their system from outside. This is why Earth Spear works perfectly. It's internal chakra. You have root access. You can turn it on, maintain it, turn it off. No risk. This is why nature energy is dangerous. It's external. You have no access. You can't control the flow rate, can't stop the absorption, can't halt the transformation cascade once it begins. The Otsutsuki chakra network was designed for internal molding, not external manipulation. And that limitation is why stillness is mandatory for Sage mode. You cannot control the nature energy. You cannot grab it mentally and pull it in at a precise rate. You can only open your chakra network in reverse, let the energy drift in passively, and hope you can maintain the one balance long enough to achieve Sage mode. Movement disrupts the passive flow. Imbalance triggers the cascade, and once the cascade starts, you have no conscious interface to stop it. Earth Spear is a controlled water faucet. You turn it on, adjust the flow, turn it off. Sage mode is opening a dam. The water flows in whether you want it to or not, and if too much comes through, you drown. That's the difference between control and corruption. But there's one more piece of evidence that confirms this control versus corruption framework. Anoki's added weight rock technique. The third Tsuchikage uses this earth release jutsu to dramatically increase the weight of his targets. Standard application: the enemy's body becomes so heavy they can't move, they sink into the ground, their bones strain under the pressure. But when Onoki pushes the technique to the extreme, something else happens. Canon states, the target's bodies start to turn to stone and break under the pressure. Petrification. Just like Sage mode imbalance. Why? Because added weight rock is an external application of earth-based energy onto another person's body. Onoki molds the chakra internally. He has complete control over his chakra. But then he applies it to someone else's body. And the victim? They have no control over Onoki's chakra flowing through their system. It's a foreign energy. It's externally applied. And when the intensity is high enough, it triggers the same biological response as nature energy imbalance. Uncontrolled ossification. The victim's body tries to integrate the foreign earth chakra, can't regulate it, and defaults to petrification. Stone spreads. Pressure increases. The body cracks and shatters. And this confirms the pattern. When energy is applied externally or absorbed passively, petrification occurs. Sage mode, External nature, energy absorbed passively, petrification risk, added weight rock, external earth chakra applied forcibly, petrification result. When energy is applied internally with conscious control, enhancement remains reversible. Earth spear, internal earth chakra consciously controlled, no petrification, perfect reversal. The difference isn't the type of energy, earth chakra, nature energy, it doesn't matter. The difference is who controls it. If you control the energy flowing through your body, you can turn it on and off at will. Controlled enhancement. If you don't control the energy because it's coming from outside or because it's being applied by someone else, your body tries to integrate it automatically. And if the system can't regulate it, corruption, petrification, stone. This is why sage mode is dangerous. This is why stillness is mandatory. This is why imbalance is fatal. You're working with an energy you cannot control. And the moment it exceeds the balance, your body executes a transformation protocol you have no conscious access to. Stop. Now that we understand the risks and mechanisms of sage mode, let's talk about why anyone would attempt it in the first place. The benefits, and we'll start with the most strategically valuable, sensory mastery. Normal sensor-type ninjas must actively mold chakra and broadcast it outward to detect enemies. They extend their chakra into the environment like sonar waves, send a ping, wait for the echo, interpret the data. It's effective. Skilled sensors like Karin or members of the Yamanaka clan can detect targets up to 500 meters away, identify chakra signatures, even sense emotional states. But it has limitations. It's an active process. You're constantly molding chakra, broadcasting it, maintaining focus. It drains your reserves. It requires mental effort. And if someone disrupts your chakra flow or uses a concealment technique, your detection fails. Sage mode users don't do that. They can sense chakra signatures across dozens of kilometers automatically, no hand seals, no active broadcasting, no chakra drain. Naruto sensed Nagato's location from across the entire Hidden Rain village, a range that would exhaust a normal sensor in seconds. Why? How? Because they're piggybacking on the nature energy network. Nature energy is already touching everything in the environment. It's flowing through the air, it's seeping through the ground, it's present in every living organism, trees, animals, humans, all of it. When you absorb nature energy and achieve sage mode, you don't just gain power. You create a feedback loop. You're connected to the global nature energy grid, and you can feel disturbances across the entire network. Think of it like this. Normal sensors are using sonar. You send out a pulse, it travels a limited distance, it bounces back if it hits something. You interpret the echo, active, limited, resource intensive. Sage mode is plugging into Wi-Fi. The signal is already everywhere. The network is already broadcasting. You just connect to it. And suddenly you can see every device on the network, their locations, their activity, passive, extended range. Zero cost. You're not broadcasting, you're receiving. When an enemy moves in the distance, they create a disturbance in the nature energy field, like ripples in a pond. Those ripples propagate through the network. And because you're connected to that network, you feel the ripple instantly. Location, chakra signature, intent, number of targets. All of it comes through the nature energy feedback. And the best part? It doesn't drain your chakra. You're not actively molding energy and sending it out. You're just tuned in. The nature energy is doing the work. You're receiving the broadcast. That's why the range is massive. That's why it's automatic. That's why sage mode users are nearly impossible to ambush. They're not scanning for you. They're connected to the planet. And the planet tells them where you are. The second benefit, physical enhancement. Sage mode grants massive increases in strength, speed, and durability. Naruto in sage mode can throw giant summons, dodge point-blank attacks, and tank hits that would kill a normal shinobi. But why? What's the biological mechanism? The answer lies in the 8 gates. The 8 gates are chakra flow limiters built into your body. They restrict your chakra usage to about 20% of your full potential. This prevents you from flooding your system with so much energy that you destroy yourself from the inside. Opening the gates removes those limiters. Might Guy opens the 8th gate and achieves God-tier power, but at the cost of his life. His body cannot handle the full output of his own chakra. Muscles tear, bones shatter, blood evaporates. That's what happens when you force more of your own chakra through the system by fully opening the gates. Sage mode operates on a similar principle, but in reverse. Instead of forcing more of your own chakra out, Sage mode requires the gates to open just enough to let foreign nature energy in. The gates don't open fully. They crack open maybe 15-25% aperture, just enough to accommodate the influx of nature energy without triggering full gate damage. And here's the key difference. The 8 gates force internal chakra outward from core muscles techniques. It's your own power overwhelming your own body. Sage mode lets external nature energy inward, from environment through gates, into chakra network. It's foreign power supplementing your existing energy. The 1-to-1-to-1 balance keeps you stable. Physical energy plus spiritual energy plus nature energy, all equal. The gates are open just enough to allow the flow, but not so much that you overload. This is why Sage mode grants massive physical buffs. Your muscle contractions, normally powered by 20% of your potential due to gate limiters. In Sage mode, the gates open slightly, and nature energy flows through. Now your muscles are operating at enhanced capacity, amplified by foreign energy that your biology normally wouldn't allow access to. Strength multiplies, speed increases, durability skyrockets. You're temporarily overclocking your entire system. But unlike the 8th gate, which removes all limiters and destroys you, Sage mode only opens the gates partially, and the balance keeps you from self-destructing. And the 5-minute timer? That's how long the gates can stay partially open before your body's safety protocols reassert control. The 8 gates exist to protect you from yourself. When you force them open for Sage mode, your body detects an abnormal state. Foreign energy flowing through pathways that are supposed to be restricted. Safety systems activate. After about 5 minutes, your body says, "Enough, this is dangerous, closing the gates, now." The gates force themselves shut. The nature energy can no longer flow in. Sage mode deactivates. The timer isn't a design feature. It's your biology's automatic lockdown protocol kicking in after it tolerates the override for as long as it safely can. You're not running out of time. You're running out of your body's patience with the exploit. And the third benefit, the one that makes Sage mode terrifying in close combat, Frog Kata, or as the toads call it, Frog Kumite. It's described as a fighting style where the nature energy aura acts as an invisible extension of your body, allowing you to hit enemies even if your physical punch misses. Sounds mystical. Sounds like anime nonsense. But it's actually based on real martial arts principles. In real-world internal martial arts, Tai Chi, Xing Yi, Bagua masters talk about projecting internal energy, extending force beyond their physical reach. You watch them break boards with minimal wind-up. You see them knock opponents back with strikes that barely seem to make contact. And skeptics call it fake, stage magic, compliant students. But the physics is real. What they're describing is coordinated body motion, perfect synchronization of every muscle, every joint, every gram of body mass moving in unison. The hips generate torque, the core transfers it, the shoulder drives it forward, the arm delivers it, all in a fraction of a second. It's a kinetic chain reaction, a whip-crack effect, and when executed perfectly, the energy transfer is so efficient that it appears to extend beyond the physical strike. Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch? That's not magic. That's his entire body's momentum concentrated into a single explosive instant. The masters aren't projecting chi in the mystical sense. They're projecting kinetic energy through perfect biomechanical form. Frog Kata does the exact same thing, but with one critical upgrade. The nature energy aura literally projects that kinetic transfer beyond your body. In real martial arts, you're limited by biology. Your kinetic force transfers through air, which is an inefficient medium. The force dissipates quickly. You might extend your effective range by an inch, maybe two. But in Frog Kata, you're surrounded by a nature energy aura, an invisible field of concentrated external energy, and that aura acts as a perfect conductor for kinetic force. When Naruto throws a punch with Frog Kata, his body generates kinetic energy through the same biomechanics as a real martial artist. Perfect form, perfect timing, full body coordination. But instead of dissipating into air, that kinetic force transfers into the nature energy aura surrounding his fist. The punch stops 1 inch short of the target. The nature energy aura, carrying the full kinetic load, continues forward and makes contact. The opponent gets hit by an invisible shockwave that their eyes never saw coming. And here's why it's so devastating. The Rinnegan can't see it. The Sharingan can't track it. Because the aura is pure nature energy, not chakra. It's operating at a frequency that dojutsu were never designed to perceive. Nagato's Rinnegan could see chakra, predict ninjutsu, analyze jutsu mechanics. But when Naruto used Frog Kata, the Rinnegan saw punches that appeared to miss, and then Pain's body took damage anyway. Because the attack vector wasn't chakra-based, it was nature energy-based, a frequency invisible to the Otsutsuki visual system. So no, Frog Kata isn't magic. It's the same kinetic energy projection that real martial artists train for decades to achieve. Except instead of imagining the force extension, you're weaponizing it. The nature energy aura is your invisible limb, your kinetic projection made literal. The punch misses by 1 inch. The shock wave doesn't, and your opponent never sees it coming. We've established that Sage Mode requires 5 minutes of perfect stillness, precise energy balance, and constant risk of petrification. But there are exceptions. Individuals whose biology bypasses these limitations entirely, and the most prominent is Hashirama Seinu. Hashirama can enter Sage Mode within seconds. No meditation, no stillness, no 5-minute preparation. He's standing in active combat. Red pigmentation appears around his eyes. Sage Mode activated. Instant. How? The leading theory, wood release, acts as biological roots. Trees don't need to consciously gather nutrients. Their root systems absorb water and minerals from the soil automatically, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Passive osmosis, continuous absorption, zero conscious effort. The roots are always working, always pulling, always storing. Hashirama's wood release cells may function the same way. At the cellular level, his tissue has plant-like properties, and if those cells behave like microscopic roots, they could be passively absorbing nature energy from the environment constantly. Not enough to trigger Sage Mode on their own, maybe 5, 10, 20% of the required amount, but enough to maintain a low-level reserve. So, when Hashirama wants to activate Sage Mode, he doesn't start from zero. He's already got a tank partially filled. He just consciously adds physical and spiritual energy to match the nature energy reserve that's been accumulating in the background. Balance achieved. Sage Mode activated. Instantly. And here's the elegant part. Trees don't need to remain still, because they're always still. A tree doesn't fidget, doesn't shift weight, doesn't move across terrain. Its roots grow, its branches extend, but the trunk itself, motionless. For decades, centuries, Hashirama's wood release cells may operate in that same default stillness state. While his body moves through combat, his cells remain in a constant absorption mode, passively pulling nature energy like roots pulling nutrients. Cellular stillness doesn't require physical stillness. His biology is doing the work automatically in the background while he fights. And then there's the genetic factor. Hashirama is Asura's reincarnation, the inheritor of the Sage of Six Paths body and life force, and Hagoromo was the original human to wield nature energy, Six Paths Sage Mode, the perfected form. Most humans are generations removed from Hagoromo. Their genetic code for nature energy manipulation has degraded over time. They're running corrupted software, which is why they need training, meditation, and extreme discipline just to avoid petrification. But Hashirama? He's carrying a higher expression of the original code. Asura's inheritance may include a natural compatibility with nature energy, a genetic privilege that makes absorption safer, faster, and more efficient. Wood release gives him the biological mechanism. Asura's bloodline gives him the genetic compatibility. Combined, instant sage mode. No meditation, no risk. Most shinobi are forcing their bodies to run an exploit they were never designed for. Hashirama's body was built for it. And then there's the most biologically anomalous exception of all, Jūgo's clan. Jūgo's clan can absorb nature energy passively, constantly, without training, without meditation, without stillness, and without petrification. They just do it. Walk through a forest, absorbing nature energy. Fighting in combat, absorbing nature energy. Sleeping, still absorbing nature energy. It's not a technique. It's not a learned skill. It's pure genetics. Their bodies pull nature energy from the environment the same way your lungs pull oxygen from air. Automatic, involuntary, constant. And when they accumulate too much, they don't turn to stone. They undergo sage, transformation, controlled mutations, wings, blades, armor plating, enhanced strength, generic adaptations instead of animal-specific petrification. How is this possible? The theory. Jūgo's clan represents a complete expression of the original nature energy code. When Hagoromo, the sage of six paths, introduced chakra to humanity, he also gave humans the potential to interact with nature energy. Six paths, sage mode. The perfected form. But over generations, most human bloodlines degraded. The genetic code for nature energy manipulation corrupted. Segments were lost. Compatibility dropped. By the time we reach the modern era, most humans have maybe 20, 30, 40% of the original code. They're running fragmented software. That's why they need training, meditation, and extreme discipline just to avoid petrification. They're forcing their biology to do something it's barely equipped for. But Jūgo's clan, they retain the full source code. Not a mutation, not a degraded KK Genkai, a preservation. Their bloodline kept the original firmware that most humans lost, and the key to their petrification immunity is enzymatic regulation. Normal human cells have no off switch for nature energy transformation. When excess nature energy floods in, the cells try to integrate it, fail, and default to petrification. Runaway ossification. No conscious control, but Jūgo clan cells secrete a special enzyme, unique to their genetics, that acts as a biological translator. The enzyme intercepts incoming nature energy, breaks it down into base components, and directs those components to specific gene expression pathways. Need offensive capability? Build blades. Need mobility? Grow wings. Need defense? Generate armor plating. It's controlled mutation. The nature energy isn't corrupting the DNA, it's being used as fuel for adaptive evolution. And because the enzyme regulates the process, it never spirals into petrification. The transformation remains organic, reversible, manageable, but there's a cost. The enzymatic system prevents petrification, but it doesn't prevent neurological overload. When Jūgo absorbs too much nature energy, when the tank overflows, the excess energy floods his limbic system, specifically the hypothalamus, the brain's control center for aggression. In normal humans, aggressive impulses are regulated by a neural circuit. The amygdala detects threats and triggers the emotional response. The hypothalamus coordinates the physical reaction, but the prefrontal cortex, the rational cognitive control center, moderates the signal. It provides top-down inhibition, preventing you from going into uncontrolled rage. But when nature energy saturates Jūgo's system, that circuit breaks down. The hypothalamus hyperactivates. The ventromedial hypothalamus, the specific region tied to defensive and predatory aggression, gets flooded with foreign energy. It starts firing constantly, interpreting everything as a threat. And the prefrontal cortex? Overwhelmed. It can't suppress the signals anymore. The rational control shuts down. Jūgo enters a berserker state. He can't distinguish friend from foe. He attacks indiscriminately. His cognition narrows to pure aggression. Destroy the perceived threat, whatever it is. Canon confirms sudden and uncontrollable surges of madness when nature energy peaks. This isn't metaphorical, it's neurological. So, the enzymatic system solves one problem, petrification, but creates another, aggression overload. The enzyme converts nature energy into physical mutations instead of stone. Perfect. But the brain, which also runs on bioelectrical signals, gets caught in the overflow. The hypothalamus interprets the excess energy as a crisis state and activates maximum aggression protocols. Jūgo doesn't turn to stone, but he loses his mind. And this is exactly why Orochimaru used Jūgo's DNA as the basis for the curse mark, but also why he diluted it. Orochimaru wanted to grant his followers access to nature energy, the power of sage mode, without the years of training, the meditation requirement, or the petrification risk. So, he didn't invent a new technique. He stole Jūgo's biology. He extracted Jūgo's cells, isolated the enzymatic regulation system, and weaponized it. The curse mark injects recipients with Jūgo's DNA, granting them passive nature, energy absorption, and the enzymatic converter that prevents petrification. But Orochimaru also realized full-strength Jūgo DNA would turn his soldiers into uncontrollable berserkers. The hypothalamus overload that makes Jūgo lose his mind, that would make curse mark users useless in coordinated combat. So, he diluted the dose. Curse mark users absorb nature energy at 30, 40, maybe 50% of Jūgo's rate, enough to grant enhanced strength, speed, and sage transformation mutations, but not enough to completely overwhelm the prefrontal cortex. Sasuke in Stage 2 curse mark, increased aggression, yes, bloodlust, yes, but he still recognizes allies. He can still follow strategy. He's not a mindless berserker. That's Orochimaru's engineering. He took Jūgo's gift, enzymatic nature energy conversion, and stripped out the neurological catastrophe. The curse mark grants nature energy absorption without petrification or complete mental collapse. Of course, there's still a cost. Only 1 in 10 recipients survive the initial application. The curse mark is invasive. It's forcing foreign DNA into a body that may not be compatible. 90% mortality rate during the bonding process. But the 10% who survive, they get sage transformation with manageable aggression. Think back to Sasuke's defection from the Hidden Leaf. To unlock the second stage of the curse mark, the Sound Force sealed him inside a wooden barrel and forced him into a temporary death-like state. At the time, it looked like a mystical ritual. But through our forensic lens, the sealing barrel was actually a crude mechanical workaround for the Stillness Paradox. We established in Chapter 1 that human movement, and especially the violent muscle spasms of a body undergoing genetic trauma, creates atmospheric and energetic turbulence. If Sasuke had tried to force the Stage 2 awakening out in the open while thrashing in agony, the nature energy intake would have been uneven, chaotic, and lethal. Remember, the curse mark uses Jūgo's DNA to bypass the stone fossilization risk, but it does not automatically give the recipient perfect chakra control. By packing Sasuke into a pressurized, dark, completely enclosed cylinder, the Sound 4 created a sensory deprivation chamber. Sasuke didn't have to use elite-level mental discipline to suppress his breathing or freeze his muscles. The very geometry of the barrel did it for him. He couldn't move. Furthermore, the barrier maintained by the Sound 4 acted as an energetic dampener. It shielded the barrel from the external world, dropping the relative air turbulence inside to absolute zero. It was a biological hack. By forcing Sasuke's physical body into a state of total artificial paralysis, they allowed Jūgo's enzymes to cleanly draw in the massive influx of broad-spectrum nature energy required to rewrite his cellular structure. The barrel wasn't just a transport box. It was a localized environment of forced stillness. An artificial cradle used to stabilize a volatile software update before the hardware tore itself apart. Jūgo's clan isn't just an exception to petrification. They're proof that even when you solve the biological problem, the neurological cost remains. You don't turn to stone, but you might lose yourself to rage. Sage mode is not a gift. It's a biological exploit. Ninjas were never meant to absorb external energies. The Otsutsuki chakra network, the system Hashirama gave humanity, allows internal molding, physical and spiritual energy combined into chakra, shaped through conscious will, released as jutsu. Perfect, elegant, controlled. But it has no interface for foreign substances. Nature energy is that foreign substance. When you sit down at Mount Myoboku and open your chakra network in reverse, when you let that green energy drift into your body, you're forcing your biology to integrate something it was never designed to handle. You're running unauthorized code on hardware that has no firmware for it. And there are only two outcomes. Perfect balance? You become a living weapon. Your strength multiplies by 10, 20, 50 times normal. You can throw summons the size of buildings, you can shatter stone with your bare hands. Your body becomes a kinetic engine amplified by foreign energy your muscles were never meant to contain. Your sensory perception expands across dozens of kilometers. You're not scanning for enemies, you're plugged into the planetary nature energy grid. Every disturbance, every chakra signature, every movement within range feeds back to you instantly. You're omniscient within your domain, and you can project force beyond your physical body. Frog Kata. Weaponized kinetic energy carried through an invisible nature energy aura. The punch misses. The shockwave doesn't. And even the Rinnegan can't see it coming because it's operating at a frequency the Sharingan was never designed to perceive. You are enhancement incarnate, a biological weapon, a sage. For 5 minutes, imbalance, your body tries to adapt. The excess nature energy floods your system. Your cells detect a foreign frequency they can't regulate, and the only protocol they have is match the template. Your DNA begins rewriting, your skeletal structure reshapes, your skin hardens and darkens. Animal features emerge, toad warts, snake scales, slug, mucus, membranes, depending on which frequency you absorbed. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. The transformation accelerates into a positive feedback loop. You're no longer human, you're becoming the animal whose energy signature you tried to wield. And then, petrification. Soft tissue converts to dense, inorganic stone. Muscle calcifies. Organs crystallize. Your body becomes geologically rock, lifeless, permanent. You are a monument, a warning, a statue in the graveyard at Mount Myoboku frozen in the moment you lost the balance. The Kaguya clan has the genetic off switch. Shikatsu Myaku lets them consciously halt ossification. They can feel the petrification begin and command it to stop. Manual override. Jūgo's clan has the enzymatic workaround. Their cells secrete a biological translator that converts nature energy into controlled mutations instead of runaway transformation. Preserved firmware from Hashirama's original code. Hashirama has the biological automation. Wood-release cells function as microscopic roots, passively absorbing nature energy in the background. Asura's reincarnation provides genetic compatibility most humans lost generations ago. Instant activation. Zero meditation. Everyone else? You stand perfectly still. You suppress every muscle twitch, every breath, every unconscious fidget your body wants to make. For 5 minutes, you breathe without moving your chest. You control your diaphragm with surgical precision. You achieve a level of stillness most humans can't maintain for 30 seconds. You balance 3 energies on a molecular tightrope: physical, spiritual, nature, all equal, all precise. 1 unit of deviation in either direction, technique failure or fossilization. And if you slip, if you move, if you lose focus, if the ratio tips even slightly, nature energy doesn't just kill you, it fossilizes you. Your body becomes stone, your cells become mineral, your existence becomes a geological monument that will outlast civilizations. This is Sage Mode. This is the price of wielding nature's power. And this is Shinobi Anatomy. So here's the question for you. Was Hashirama's instant Sage Mode purely a result of his Asura genetics, a direct reincarnation privilege from the Sage of 6 Paths? Or does wood release literally function as biological roots, cellular structures that passively absorb nature energy the same way trees pull nutrients from soil. Genetic lottery or biological mechanism? Drop your theories in the comments. Let's debate the science. If this breakdown synchronized with your understanding of Sage Mode's true mechanics, if the FOP connection, the frequency tuning theory, or the partial gate opening hypothesis clicked, hit that like button. And if you want more deep dives into the biological exploits hidden throughout the Naruto universe, Sharingan's neurological cost, Byakugan's sensory overload, the chakra pathway mutations behind Kekkei Genkai, subscribe. This is Shinobi Anatomy. We don't just explain the techniques, we audit the biology. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next breakdown.